Prepare for the Farmageddon. Prepare for the third round of farmer bailouts. Got to keep the industry afloat. Seems like an unusual set of events. Economy taking a hit, government steps in. Extremely low interest rates and bankruptcies are rising. Debt is at a record high. We are in the eye of the perfect storm. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to talk about farms. We are going to talk about farmers. We're going to talk about agriculture, agribusiness, and everything interconnected. The financial system extends further out than JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. We're going to get into some of the details today, so let's begin. Missouri and Kansas farmers rely on federal bailout money. Most people do not understand what has happened recently. For more than one issue, we have watched the farming industry in the United States change over. This has been going on for a little while. More agribusiness, small farmers being bought up or put out of business by these large industrial commercial type farms. And as a result, we have seen a narrowing band of those who are able to do business. When you pile on the issues that have been present recently, things are getting worse really, really fast. Weekly U.S. corn inspections take a look at what has happened in 2018, 2019, that's the black line, in comparison to the years prior. It is not looking good, okay? So we have watched these different commodities previously having massive stockpiles, and now we have an issue because there isn't as much demand. At the same time, we've had crop failures. We've had all of these farms that are having big issues for one reason or another. For the farming industry, this is truly the perfect storm. And then we get into one level deeper. Percentage of commercial agricultural loans more than 30 days past due. You need to understand this because it's not going to be told to you in the mainstream for the most part. Look at this number, 2.5%. That's the real estate delinquency. Underneath that, 2.2%, non-real estate delinquency. On the surface level, you have the majority of people who would say, look, 2.2, 2.5%, it's barely anybody that is right now delinquent on their payments. So you don't have to worry. Stop freaking out. Nothing to see here. Let's go buy some shares of Amazon 7 in particular. Well, let's look a little bit closer, because if you actually spent a minute of your life and did some research, you would see what happened last time around. Well, you can see that real estate delinquency right here at the peak, which appears to be around 2011. The delinquency rate was less than, this is 4% if you can't see it on your screen. 4%, so maybe 3.8% or so. 3.8% last time, where we had a major issue in the entire housing and all of the different markets that are connected in with that. 3.8% real estate delinquency. And non-real estate delinquency right here in this case is probably somewhere around 3.1 or 3.2%. So you can see we're not far off at all. But this time, of course, doesn't have to be the same as last time. Most people believe that it's just gonna happen the exact same way. So as long as we don't run into those same issues, a crisis won't follow. This is the absolute short-sightedness and the ignorance of the majority of people who are simply hoping and praying, crossing their fingers, and going on about their life. I understand why they want to do that, but it isn't wise, okay? So when you look at what happened last time around, subprime crisis, you had the derivatives, the CDOs, and so on. Just because that might be less of an issue this time around doesn't mean we can't have a crisis. It could come from anywhere. Look, this could be a catalyst. We could be staring it right in the face. We could have something going on between the US and China being a catalyst. We could watch something unfold in Europe and it spills over into the United States. We could also see anything happen within the derivatives that nobody is really aware of. What about the corporate debt issues? The list goes on and on and on. You don't have to see the same issue happening every single time. In fact, how often does the exact same catalyst occur throughout the cycles? It usually is something completely different. Now, it might be the financial industry in some way. Maybe it's derivatives, maybe it's savings and loan, maybe it's housing, who knows? But it just shows you that there are all possible triggers of this major events that we experience. Look at these numbers, but actually take them historically, and it should be worrisome. They are rising. The last time they rose, we had a recession. The time before that, we had a recession. We see patterns over and over again. I just had somebody almost every day telling me that they unsubscribed from the channel. Look, if you don't want this type of information, see you later. There are a lot of channels out there who will tell you to buy Tesla stock, why it's so fantastic. Go buy your 7 shares of Amazon. Have fun. Take care. This channel is for people who want the truth, and sadly, a lot of people do not want the truth. They see the stock market near all-time highs, and that's all they give a damn about. Well, go ahead. There's a lot of channels out there for you. Farm equipment maker Deere's dealers reel from the trade issues and bad weather. This gets into the details of that, because you have to think, it's not just the farmers, okay? You have the industries that are surrounding it. You have the manufacturers of all these different products, the farming equipment. There's the financial aspect, because there are loans that are given out to these farmers. There are so many things here. And so if you look a level deeper, at least one level deeper, then you start to peel back all of these different issues that could be presenting themselves at some point. Of course, this is important. Okay, we got some important issues to talk about. The EWG had this to say. USDA bailout for impact of the tariffs goes to the biggest, richest farmers. Does that surprise anybody? The bailout money goes to those at the top. Well, I seem to remember something about that. Back in the financial crisis, you and I didn't get anything. And hey, all of the CEOs got those massive bonuses. Well, let's take a look at the details in here. EWG's analysis of the data found the top 1/10 of recipients received 54% of all of the payments. 82 farmers have so far received more than $500,000 in payments. The top 1% received on average $183,000. The bottom 80% received less than $5,000. Now I understand bigger farm, bigger costs, bigger bailout. Smaller farm, they don't need as much money. But ultimately, for a small farmer, if there's an event that disrupts them, they don't have time, they don't have money, they're going bankrupt. That's the way this works. I'm simply just giving you the data. Nobody wants to hear this type of information, and why? Because it hurts. It really does. If you had your mind set on a particular issue in a particular way, and then something comes your way and sideswipes you, it makes you feel sick. It hurts you in a way. Nobody wants to really receive the truth unless they are open, unless you are receptive to the information that's there. Most people, they can't do it. The database tracks $391 billion in farm subsidies from commodity, crop insurance, disaster programs, and conservation payments made between 95 and 2019. This is interesting. You can actually click on any one of the states here. You can scroll down on the side just to show you. It breaks it down. So you can actually go in further and take a look here. It breaks it down in the pie chart. If I zoom in, I'll probably give you a better look at this. You can see Alabama farm subsidy information. Farmers receive $4 billion in subsidies between these years. I thought this was interesting here. Disaster programs is basically the smallest of all of these. So when I hear a lot of times out there, people are saying, did you see what happened? Of course they need a bailout. Look at the rain, look at the disaster, look at the destruction. But in the pie chart, it's actually the smallest piece. Did you know that? Were you aware of that? I would say most of the people who are yelling and screaming, saying that the bailouts are always a good idea, don't know this information. Commodity programs on the right-hand side is the biggest piece of the pie, more than half. And you can go, of course, state by state and check this out for yourself if you are interested. I see this as more about money leading to money and not necessarily about helping people. This is the problem with big government. It gets bigger and bigger. You have the USDA, you have all of these agribusiness, and then you have all the small farmers who end up getting screwed. They're trying to provide actual good food for people, and unfortunately, they're getting squashed. They're getting bought out. You know what's going on, and unfortunately, this information isn't brought to the public, all right? Nobody really knows about this website. Nobody knows about the EWG. They don't know what there is on this site and will never see it. That is truly unfortunate. Anyway, if you take a look at this site, if you want to, all the details are here. It breaks it down. Maybe you are specifically interested in your particular state or you want to look further into that. All the information is there. Link will be in the description. Total Chapter 12 Farm Bankruptcies by State. Here you can see them all. We've been watching the numbers climb. It depends on where you are. I just wanted to show you this as well. The Farm Bureau calculated all of this, and you could see that on the chart. Bankruptcies are at a 6-year high according to the Farm Bureau. This is not a good sign. It connects in with the data I showed you just previously. I wanted to give you this all broken down in this article. It's not a good sign to see all of this happening today when you're looking at what's going on in the financial industry. Look, rates are at such a historically low level, and yet people can't make ends meet. Farmers can't make ends meet. Yes, there's trade issues. Yes, that we had the damages that were caused by all of the flooding and so on. But now we're nitpicking. Now we're looking at particular things when you're not just looking at how these events are all unfolding. There's more going on here than what we're being told. Latest trade relief payments to individual farm operators. This is just showing you some data, breaking it down. The big farms get all the money, just more about that. MFP soybean payments in leading farm states. Illinois by far the biggest recipient here, if you want to check that out. And last but not least, China's imports of US soybeans dropped to the lowest since at least 2004. But as you can see, this has been declining over the past few years as the tensions have been rising, as we've been hearing about China, that they are going to buy more and more commodities. They are going to buy more of all of this. And yet here we are today seeing the numbers really dwindling down to essentially nothing. So I'm interested in seeing what happens in the next few months. Not looking good as of this moment, but of course that remains to be seen. I'm going to end the video there. If you found it informative, hit that like button. When you hit that like button, you're supporting me, supporting this channel and the truth. So I do appreciate that very much. If you want the financial education you were not taught in school, these 2 books have everything you need. All the details are in the description. I talk about the foundation, the history, the asset classes, how to profit, self-sufficiency, what to do, okay? If you want to ask your financial advisor questions, these 2 books will give you what you need in order to be knowledgeable in this way. If you want the audiobook, that's available at themoneygps.com. I made a post about this on the community tab in my channel, but if you're not aware of that, the Amazon GPS is coming. Basically, it's a free course that I have created that I put a lot of effort into, and I actually have to pay money to keep this going. It teaches you how to sell products on Amazon as well as e-commerce in general, as well as business in general. This will be provided to you for free for the time being. I hope that everybody takes advantage of it. It's launching in literally days. I'm just working out all the kinks, having a little technical difficulties, making sure everything is fully operational. I'm going to make a video about it when it launches. I'm going to put all the information that you need in a video, so stay tuned for that. I know a lot of people need a secondary income, maybe a third income. Maybe they want to replace their current income and actually eliminate their 9-to-5 job. This will tell you what you need to know. As I said, it's completely free, and I hope that every single person on here will actually take advantage of that. Last but not least, if you want to know what's going on and you haven't watched this video yet, well, I don't know what you're doing, okay? You need to watch it. Click on it and I will see you there.